We're back to the Neil Haley show. And you know what? I love this guy because this guy totally saw the power of brand, becoming a very successful entrepreneur that's using branding to grow things. And now a reality television show, Jayson Waller of the BAM Fam. How are you, Jayson? And I cannot wait to talk about your entrepreneurial journey and where you are today. Thanks for stopping by.
No, thanks for having me on the show. Super excited. Big fan. We were talking about some of the guests you had on, so I'm honored to be on here and tell my story.
Your guests are interesting as well. We'll kind of get to that another time. Maybe have to have a part two. I'll have to reach out to your amazing publicist and Carol Van Stone and go ahead and do that. But let's talk about, Jayson, entrepreneurship, because I was part of an interview that's not aired yet, and it will be, where I co-host with Marisa Jones interviewing your wife. Now we're going to get your side of the story. How did you grow as an entrepreneur? How did you build what you've built in your empire and had some fires in your empire to now with the reality show?
I feel like that was a setup loaded question because you brought my wife up before you asked me, which means I have to answer it a certain way. No, I'm kidding. So listen, people that want to grow things in life and people that want to, that create their own map, you have to have a good support mechanism. My wife and my family were my drive. Like, I wanted to do everything for them. And when things were hard, when you're putting in 18 hours, 20 hours a day, people are complaining that's not good business, family life balance. That's all BS and out the window. There's no such thing. It's about moments. It's about memories. It's about making the time with your family count. It's about impacting your children and your wife and going on special vacations where they have those memories. And so I've grinded. She supported me in building different companies. I had successful home security companies. I had $1 billion solar company that was going public, and then I lost it, and it cost us $400 million. And so we've been battling that. Now I've built another company that's worth about 25 million. It's a year old. It's a home service company, and I'm doing coaching, and I'm doing a podcast. And then now we got the reality TV show.
See, but you've seen that power. You lose, you end up, you win and lose in entrepreneurship. Like, I'm about to announce I'm launching 3 other businesses. I have, and I guess it's just Neil Haley, the brand right now, but I have a social media management done for you, podcast production done for you, but I'm launching a whole digital agency and many of other businesses. I have my own publishing company, but I'm not to the level you are, Jayson, because again, you've done is you've had the right team on your side. You've had the right wife and the right family that supports you as an entrepreneur. How important is, and we're going to see this in the reality show, how important is it for an entrepreneur to have support from a significant other that is really behind you through thick and thin?
Well, that's very important because, you know, the days that you struggle, and I mean, recently I felt defeated. I've always been one that is just hard grit, hard work, you know, no holds barred. Nothing can hold me down. Nobody can take away my energy and my love and passion. Let's go. And with losing that company and laying off 2,400 people and my family being abused and harassed and death threats and I'm not hurting for me. I mean, of course I feel bad, but I don't ever want to pity myself. I'm hurting for them because they're hurting for me. And it gives you a drive. And, you know, I didn't come from much. I didn't finish high school. My parents were blue collar, working double jobs. I would help my dad deliver papers at night. I got made fun of in high school for wearing, you know, fake Tommy Hilfigers and not having money and a car with no air conditioning, all of those things, to where I had this chip on my shoulder that I never wanted to play it safe like my dad. My dad played it to not lose. I wanted to play to win. And in entrepreneurship, and when you're opening a business, the only way you're successful is you play it to win. You have to risk it to make it. Like, too many people want to play it safe. Like, I just want to own a business to get a great car. No, you need to own a business because you're going to get paid the least amount of money than everybody else for a while. You want to own a business so you can add a great product and get customers, to create jobs that eventually the money will come, but you chase success. You chase winning. You don't chase the money. And I've learned 100%. That building multiple businesses, but the problem is everyone sees the wins. They don't see the losses. And my loss was all over the news, the media, lawsuits everywhere. So it crushed my brand to where I was labeled something I wasn't, something out of my control with a product liability law issue with Generac. And I'm having to battle back. It's a different dynamic to build a company when you can't be the brand. You have to build the brand, and then you have to recover your brand. So I've never done this before, but, you know, Amazon reached out and said, hey, let's do a show while we're doing this, and called The Comeback. You know, it's BAM Fam, but it's really about the comeback, not the setback. And that's kind of where it's at.
No, so I'm going to take back and look at you and I'm sure we're going to have another conversation. I'm off air too, and different things. But what I've done is I've built a brand in some ways as a professional wrestler, then as a podcaster, put in all the years, and now finally I'm becoming an entrepreneur. I believe I was not there, and now finally, and I think it takes 13 to 15 years to really do something, and then finally figure it out and get there because you make your mistakes. You went into different industries. I've been in the marketing industry. And now I'm saying, you know what? I don't know how much longer I want to be with AI in the marketing industry. I want to take some of that and then build other businesses because I know how to sell. I know how to do these certain things. I'm telling the story to you in this way, but you saw in ways the right people you surrounded yourself with in these other businesses to be able to survive and thrive again, right?
Yeah, you have to create a team. The biggest problem with all these entrepreneurs and startup people, and it's, you get it because you've been doing other things for so long, but some people, they don't get it. And then they're a know-it-all and they think they got to be great at everything. And that is false. As an entrepreneur, whatever you're great at, stay that. Then find you a teammate that's great at something you're not. And then find another teammate. And the Avengers always get further in business than Superman. Now, if a battle happened outside in the movies, Superman probably wins. But in business, you need the Avengers. You need to surround yourself with people that have attributes that you don't. Like, I'm a vision guy. I'm a sales guy. I'm a marketing guy. I'm a motivator. I'm not a guy that counts beans and can do the money. I'm not a guy that wants to sit here and deal with the operations and deal with the guys that are out there installing, production types. Like, I'm not that guy. I'm not the guy that's going to be nice and empathetic and sympathetic. I'm the guy that's like, look, you either do your job or you don't. And if you don't, we got a problem. Right. So but you need to surround yourself with people that aren't that way, because other people need different things to elevate and motivate.
What I've learned with the origination of AI, and then we're going to go right into the BAM fam then, that now you basically have all the tools. You got to hire the right people. And that's what I've done in starting to bring a team on board for Media Giant Marketing, and then Hall of Man Publishing, and all these things I'm going to be announcing very soon as my website's being in that final phases, even though I'm already in the back end. As you all know, we just don't, keep things going. In the celebrity interviews, we're going to be going into a level that you can't even believe in 2024. The big celebrities, working with the great Ernst Sears again, and we're working with just major people. But what I've learned in this process is basically that you go through this journey. Do you feel that what kind of took you off in the level as an entrepreneur to get to the energy, the solar company? You had another company before that. Was it relationship sales? What did it do to finally say, okay, I've finally hit my first 6 figures. Now I'm at my 7 figures, and now it's a different game. Where do you see that as a journey as an entrepreneur? Do you finally get there?
Yeah, well, look, the first business I opened was a home security company. I was 24 years old. And I always tell people, if you don't have a treasure box, you don't have a war chest of money, you better invest in
cash flow is the biggest thing.
Yeah. Right. Well, I opened a business and cashed out my 401k. It was only 10 grand. That wasn't enough to really do anything. And I had to work another company. I was still working at Verizon Wireless as a business account manager, and then going out and running appointments for my home security company until I got to a point that I could leave Verizon and then go and start doing other things. And a lot of people didn't have that benefit I had. Or I sold my first 2 companies and opened the solar company, threw money at it, didn't get paid for 2 years. Then it took off, and we ended up doing $600 million in revenue in 2021. So those kind of things, they don't happen overnight, but you've got to be able to understand that to open a business with nothing, you better be able to live that way. You have to live humble. And I have 3 rules if you're a brand new startup or brand new business. You pay your people first, you pay your vendor second, you reinvest third. People go, you don't get paid? Nope. You don't get paid till the company has got a foundation and is doing that. So you better find a way to survive on very, very little pay, because you keep reinvesting. Therefore, then you have the foundation to do that. And that is hard discipline, because people get into this and they see a little bit of the money coming to the account. Like, I'm going to go buy this, I'm going to buy that. And they don't survive. They don't get to grow the right way. They always stay stagnant. You can't scale
because cash flow is the king. And if you don't have investors that are going to pay your cash flow, you basically have to fund it yourself. Then you're really not making money for a while. And that's the process. And you continue, and you finally put to that level, and I'm learning these specific things. But thank God I put time into my brand for so many years, building it and building relationships and using these relationships with the power of podcasting, because podcasting is a gold mine. Radio is a gold mine. The media company is a gold mine, because I can introduce anyone I want when I want. Bottom line, I can get in front of people. For example, I just mentioned on another show today, I represent James Harris. It's about to get his book out. I'm not his book to sell his movie. He's a former NFL player that sold drugs during his whole career and had a drug ring, and now he's putting this into a story and to sell his story. So these are the types of things, but I wouldn't build these relationships if it wasn't for the power of this. I'm not Adam, even though I was a former professional wrestler. That's the power. You got to build, as Neil Patel says, you got to build your personal brand first before you build anything else. Nowadays, now you didn't do it that way. You had money to build your personal brand now. This is the difference, meaning, you know what I'm saying?
I built the businesses first, and then I was able to build my brand, but I was also on the TV commercials, for our company and doing all these things. I was on TV shows. But what I'll say, exactly what you're saying is so important, people need to know. When you're doing a podcast or you're building relationships, I was such a better entrepreneur from 20, and not that I was a bad one. I mean, I wasn't perfect. You get better as you go. But when COVID hit and I started my first podcast, I became such a better entrepreneur because for me, it's therapeutic, but I'm getting coached. I'm meeting someone from a different walk of life that's amazing in their own way. And I'm soaking in this information and making a friend and making a connection. And they're hopefully getting something from me. That has been so important in my growth of life, of where I'm at now in my brand, because I learned something from everyone I talked to. Like we talked now, that this is what happens, and that's what it's about. So it's key that if you're going to be a leader and you're going to be an entrepreneur, you're going to run a business, you do got to build your brand, and this is part of it. A podcast, getting on podcasts, things like that.
Yeah, and so and see, the thing that Neil Patel talked about is you got to figure out what your TAM is, and then that's it. Your total addressable market for your business, and that's it. But you basically Logan Paul example. Logan Paul basically built a brand in YouTube. He didn't make all his money on YouTube, guys. He got this business. Boom, it did $1 billion. There you go. That's Logan Paul. And he's in WWE. He sees the power of brand where you'll get a product service and you run with it. The problem is everyone creates a product and service before they're a brand. So you did it. You made money in a business. Then now you're building the personal brand. Now you can build any business. That's the difference, because you build the brand. So BAM family, boom. Tell me specifically what we're going to see. Whenever your episode airs with Marisa and I was listening the whole interview and maybe asked one question. Now I'm talking to you, but I literally learned from your wife specifically. She went through the turmoil because you're out there building, and she supported you, and that's what you need. And then be willing to take the next thing. But Bam Fam's going to take it to the next level. Why?
Yeah. So the Bam Fam starts and talks about the aftermath. Coming out of the ashes of losing $1 billion company, costing us $400 million. It's really a story of rags to riches, riches to rags, and hopefully back to riches again. And it's the comeback, and it's the story of me doing interviews like this and being on stage and speaking and raising capital and building companies and coaching people and going home to chaos and bipolar. And all of my kids and my wife, we all have personality disorders. I think everybody does. They hide from it. And we had this whole dynamic, and I've got one in college, and I've got 2 grandkids and a single, a daughter who's a single stay-at-home mom. And how does it being an entrepreneur affect the life? And me being this big boss, let's run everything out here in the real world. When I get home, I have to check my ego at the door because I don't run anything. They run everything. And so that dynamic kicks in with a little bit of
You're lucky to have your wife that's willing to do it. Because that's the thing, because you will put, that's the missing component for every successful entrepreneur, is someone by their side. That's my belief.
I agree. And you need to have somebody that if you're going to run everything in business, you need to go home and have somebody else run that household. Well, and it's good for your soul to not be the boss all the time.
No, you got to
I want to go home and you tell me what to do, because I tell everybody else what to do. I want to be told what to do.
Exactly.
It's a great concept.
In that process, and I share my show on here, and I'm sure everyone goes back to my YouTube channel, listens to all these different interviews I do, because I've done in 15 years. This is my 15th year starting now in this industry, and I've done over 20,000 interviews. So I have interviewed everyone from anybody, but I've learned so much from so many people. But the point I'm making in this is that I didn't have the right support system. Got through divorce. Now I'm on the next level, and I'm hitting the next train. Reunited to my kids. Story amazing. That's going to be a book at one point in time. I have all this dream, but I already see the power of brand. And this is what everyone needs to do: is you start a business, and you don't have capital, you don't want to go out and sell. You better start a personal brand while doing that at the same time. But don't start a business unless you know it's going to work. And see, you figured all this out. through your process because you're great in sales, and so many people are lacking sales. That's why they got to get coaching from you. The Bam Fam, that's got to be huge. Where can people check it out and all that stuff?
Yeah, I've got one of the water things. So a fan of ours created swag. We got all of a sudden pillows, hoodies. I don't know if Amazon sent, I don't know. We got these water things, but we're super excited. The show comes out sometime in January. It'll be on Amazon Prime, and it's a good look into what real life is. It's real, it's raw, it's emotional, it's real arguments, real life problems, real business building. You're going to learn what it's like to be building a business or losing a business, struggling, relationships, podcasts, building a brand, all the struggles people go with their kids and their family and their wife, and the ups and downs. And, we're excited about it, I think. And each one of my kids has their own real personality that I think can tie into people where they can relate to it. And we're very relatable. And what it's like to go from nothing to have everything to back to nothing and starting to build again, and the mission of that, and having the viewers be a part of that, going, wow, that's how they can do it. And hopefully some of them get excited and can better their lives the same way.
All right. So tell me also your podcast. Tell us about the podcast.
So I have a podcast called Jayson Waller Unleashed. It's a top 10 podcast right now in society and culture. We talk about business, we talk about entrepreneurship, we talk about aliens. I got an alien here. We talk about politics. It's unleashed. We take the gloves off. I had a buddy of mine from Pakistan here, and we debated the conflict in Palestine. And so I took the gloves off. Now that I'm not going to run a public traded company, I don't have to hide from anything. So I defy and fight with cancel culture, and that's what the show's about. We talk about everything. We unleash it. And I still talk about business. My episode just dropped today, Always Be Closing. I'm telling people how to scale their business, how to do digital marketing, how to build a bench strength for their business, how to do a call to action, right? But on the same token, I could be talking about aliens because I'm bipolar, and I talk about all the things mixed in. So I try to say, I'm friends with Andy Frisella. I don't know Joe Rogan, but if those two had a podcast combined, it's kind of where my show fits in.
All right, no doubt. Congrats on the success, and I appreciate Jayson for you stopping by.
Thank you so much.
All right, that's special. That was the Neil Haley Show, guys. Take care, and we'll be back in just a moment. As I